Hi, eighth graders. In this lesson, you are working on drafting your essay about Claudette Colvin. So I'm going to model the process that I went through when I was drafting my body paragraphs about Ruby Bridges. All right, so the first thing that I want to show you here is my introduction, okay? Because in order to think about what you're going to be reading in your body paragraph, you got to go back to your introduction because that's going to have your thesis statement and your 3 supporting reasons. So I'm going to read that through to you so you know what I wrote about, and then I'll show you how I moved on from there to begin my first body paragraph. Okay, so starting here, let me see if I can put my spotlight, my focus mouse there. Okay. All right. So my introduction says, what does it take to be first at something? In Through My Eyes by Ruby Bridges, Ruby is the first to attend a formerly all-white school in Louisiana. In the 1950s, Southern schools were segregated. When this practice was outlawed, Ruby was chosen to be the first to integrate the school in her neighborhood. Ruby had many qualities that made her just the right student for the daunting task of being the first to integrate a white school. Ruby was smart. She was one of the only Black students to pass the admissions test for the white schools. Ruby was also brave. She endured months of terrible treatment by the protesters. They were shouting terrible things at her and even throwing things at her day after day, yet she held her head up and went to school. Ruby was resilient. She went through difficult times. She couldn't eat or sleep at times, yet she kept going to school. She never missed one day the whole year. So I have, in my introduction, done what I needed to do by giving the thesis statement that she was the perfect person to integrate the schools. And I said my 3 supporting reasons. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to move on to working on my body paragraphs. So I made myself a checklist just like I had for the introduction. And in the body paragraph, I know I need to have 1, a topic sentence, which is a supporting reason. 2, I need text evidence. And 3, I need analysis of the evidence. All right, so I'm going to start here with my first reason, which is one reason Ruby was the perfect person to integrate the schools in Louisiana is she was smart. Okay, so now that I have said the reason, that's my topic sentence, I've given my supporting reason. Now I need to go back to the text, which I'm going to do right here. I'm going to turn to back to the book and look at this section on pages 11 and 12 where Ruby was speaking herself, and she was telling about what she remembers about being chosen for the school. So right in the middle of the page here, it says, apparently the test was difficult, and I've been told that it was set up so kids would have a hard time passing. If all Black children had failed, the white school board might have had a way to keep the school segregated for a while longer. That summer, my parents were contacted by the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP. The NAACP is an old and well-respected civil rights organization. Its members work to get equal rights for Black people. Several people from the NAACP came to the house that summer. They told my parents that I was one of just a few children to pass the school board test and that I had been chosen to attend one of the white schools, William Frantz Public School. They said it was a better school and closer to my home than the one I had been attending. Right, I'm going to stop right there because I have plenty of evidence from that section. So I'm going to go back. Now what I have to do is think about what I just read, and I have to put that into my own words in my body paragraph. Okay, so I started out with my topic sentence was one reason Ruby was the perfect person to integrate the schools in Louisiana is she was smart. Okay, so then I'm going to start telling about the text evidence. Okay, so in the text, Ruby herself is talking. So I'm going to say Ruby Bridges explains that the tests were set up for children to fail. Black children to fail. The White School Board made these tests. The White School Board thought that by making the tests difficult, all Black students would fail. Then they could keep Black students out by saying they were not smart enough to get in. In fact, Ruby passed the test when not many others did. This shows that Ruby was smart. Since she was one of only a few pass a very difficult test. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my transition here because the next reason I'll be talking about in my next body paragraph is the fact that she was brave. So I want to have a transition here. So I'm going to say, it's not the only reason. And that's not the only reason Ruby was the perfect student to begin integration, because that can help me transition to my next reason. Okay, so I'm going to go back up here and just make sure that I have covered everything. Do I have a topic sentence? Yes, I do. I've got my one reason Ruby was the perfect person to integrate the schools in Louisiana is she was smart. So I have covered the topic sentence. Did I include text evidence? Well, when I went back and I restated all that stuff from the text about Ruby Bridges explaining the tests were set up for Black children to fail, and the White School Board thought that by making the test difficult, all the students would fail, that is my text evidence. So I've included plenty of that. Now, did I analyze the evidence? So when you're analyzing the evidence, you have to say why that evidence fits. And I think I did that down at the bottom where I said that this shows that Ruby was smart because she passed a very difficult test. So I'm going to say that, yes, I did my analysis of the evidence. All right, so I have checked off all of my things from my body paragraph, so I know I have it all. So then I could go and I could continue with my next paragraph, which is going to be about Ruby being brave. So I might start it off by saying something like the second reason, and I would move on from there. Okay, so I want you to spend today and tomorrow drafting your 3 body paragraphs about your Claudette Colvin book, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you write.